Good afternoon and welcome. As usual, I will be given a couple of seconds to allow some of our attendees to come in before we start the business of the day. But even as we wait for our attendees to come in, I just want to wish each and every one of us a happy new year, because this is my first time of moderating an event in 2022. How was our break? How was the holidays? And how is the new year going? I hope everything is moving on as planned.
Yeah, just to reiterating what Garba said, if anyone wants to say hi in the chat, you're more than welcome to. I know it's pretty cold outside, so hopefully you're staying warm inside, getting some great information at your lunch break today. Great, I see some people engaging in the chat. We'll get started in just about a minute here.
Okay, I think we'll just kick off the business of today. Good afternoon once again. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, my name is Gagba Esiahaya, and I'm the training coordinator with the Temple Small Business Development Center. The Temple Small Business Development Center helps small businesses start and grow. We offer free one-on-one consulting and a variety of low to no-cost webinars. We are proud to be part of the nationally accredited network of the Small Business Development Center, which has over 1,000 networks across the United States. You are here this afternoon for a webinar on getting ready to enter the world of social media. A copy of the PowerPoint and the link to the recording will be sent to all the attendees. Being a webinar, all the attendees have been muted. However, we always encourage you to drop your question on the Q&A or the chat box. Without further ado, please allow me to welcome our wonderful speaker, even as she takes over the floor for the presentation. Ms. Sarah, you're welcome once again.
Great, thank you so much, Garba. And like he said, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back. We did have, I believe, 1 or 2 webinars last week, but this is where we're going to really get back into running multiple webinars a week. And I'm very happy to start off with getting ready to enter the world of social media. We run this a couple times a year. I think the most fitting time of the year to run it is at the beginning of January, because this is when I find a lot of small businesses are looking for what their next step is going to be. Maybe they made a New Year's resolution to be better at social media or create their, grow their presence online. So as many of you probably saw in the description online, this is meant to be more of a basic session. So not to say that you won't get value in this if you're someone who's already using these platforms. I actually encourage you to stay on because you might find something new. But we are going to be taking this from the nitty-gritty beginners, explaining what the most important social media platforms are, what they do, why you should be on them, and then you can make the determination for if it makes the most sense for your business or your industry or not. And then we end it with some FAQ, so some frequently asked questions about how to be the best at social media. So as soon as you get on these platforms, like I said, you might be on them already, we give some great tips and tricks for what the next step is going to look like. What should you be doing to make sure you get the most engagement, and what should your range of posts look like? How often should you be posting a week? All of those questions that we normally get from someone who's getting ready to enter that world of social media. So I'm very happy to have you all online with us. We often see huge engagement in this section, so please be patient if we don't get to your question immediately. We do have an hour and a half scheduled for this today. And I'm happy to answer questions throughout the presentation. So if you have something that's on the tip of your tongue, go ahead and put it in the chat or the Q&A, and I'll get to it when I have a second in between slides. So let's jump right in. As Garba already said, we are the Temple University Small Business Development Center. So we provide one-on-one consulting, business education programming, webinars like the one you are on today. And we provide all of this at absolutely no cost to you. So if one of your New Year's resolutions was, as a small business owner, to get some more assistance, and this is your first time interacting with the SBDC, I want to say welcome. And just to reiterate that because we are funded federally, so your tax dollars pay for this kind of programming, this is a free, no cost service that's offered to anyone with less than 500 employees. That's the federal designation for a small business. So if you want one-on-one consulting, whether you have questions about your website, website, questions about social media, about a business plan, financial projections, we have dedicated staff that can meet with you once, twice, 10 times. It is completely up to you, however you want to take advantage of this. I'm not here to market it to you. It's a no-cost service. So you take what you want out of this, this webinar, out of the SBDC services, and find what works best for you and your business. So who am I and why am I talking to you today? My name is Sarah Mailloux, and I'm our Digital Transformation Program Manager. So like I said, we have expert staff that work in, website assistance, social media, marketing, market research, that kind of stuff. I kind of oversee that kind of sub-program. So you might see the logo in the back of my screen. It says PADTEP. So I run our Pennsylvania Digital Transformation and E-commerce program, which is why I also come online and do some of these webinars myself. Before I became a manager here at Temple, I worked at the Delaware SBDC Lead Office. So there are SBDCs across the United States. I just hopped the border. So if you're someone who's joining us from, I don't know, Utah, Massachusetts, wherever you are, there is an SBDC in your state that can help you, just like we help businesses here in Pennsylvania. I do have some nonprofit marketing experience, some instructional design experience, and I do a variety of different things at the Small Business Development Center. I do have certificates in exporting and ideation and commercialization. So I see all manner of client come in the door, from the people who are just kind of getting started to, established businesses trying to go abroad, or someone trying to commercialize their technology. So, whoever you are, I want you to know that you are seen, you are valued. These are the kinds of people that SBDCs do assist every single day. So what are we going to be talking about a little bit more today? First, we're going to go over what social media is and why it's good to be on social media. Some of you might be saying, you know what, Sarah, that sounds kind of redundant. Maybe I should just hop off this webinar right now. But I think it's really important to start with the why. And if any of you have attended my sessions before, you'll know that I put this up here on purpose. You might be on social media, but do you know why you're on social media? Do you know what social media even is supposed to do for you or your business? So I want to make sure we all stay grounded in that same understanding of what we're trying to accomplish here today. Then we're going to talk about the most popular platforms. So we're going to talk about Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Pinterest, all of the big ones, and what they do, the pros and cons of each. And then, like I said, the FAQs. How to use social media then to kind of get your business off of the ground. So let me just check really quick. It looks like we have something in the Q&A. Someone asked to do a recording and a slide deck. Will they be shared? Yes, they will be in a follow-up email that normally goes out 1 to 2 business days after the webinar. So thanks for asking that. And then Small Biz Philly, I'm going to hold on to your question and we'll get to that when we start talking more about social media platforms. So like I said, we're going to start with an introduction to social media. So what are we trying to accomplish here today, folks? Obviously, this first question might seem redundant. What is social media? You might say, I know what social media is, Sarah. It is a computer-based technology. It facilitates the sharing of information. It allows you to build virtual networks, and it's electronic, obviously. So it's not paper mail. We're no longer sending letters to each other to send a quick, update. You can just put it on a Facebook chat or update people with a picture on Instagram or things like that. What makes it unique is that it's all user-generated content. So when you talk about a marketing strategy from a big picture, there's going to be content that you as the business can curate, but getting user-generated content that clients can share or your friends and family can share or other different people across the internet, which expands across the entire world, can share information that you're putting out or create content for your business. That is a huge benefit of being on here. It's not having to create everything from scratch necessarily yourself. You can benefit from user-generated content that appears across people's different profiles. And we'll talk more about that strategy as we get through the different platforms. But I think one of the things that is most important to recognize is actually this one right here. It's about facilitating the sharing of ideas, thoughts, and information. We're talking about human relationships. And this is, if you've seen my webinars, this might sound redundant as well, but one of the things I like to make sure that everyone who comes into contact with one of our social media webinars understands is that marketing in a digital world is much more difficult than it was even 5 to 10 years ago. It used to be the new big thing, and just being on social media and just having a profile would give you engagement. Many of you have probably noticed it is not as much the case anymore. We went from, in the 80s and 90s, there was a huge amount of people doing door-to-door marketing, sales marketing, flyers, brochures. It was a lot more of that print marketing. Moving into the 2000s and 2010s, digital marketing really took off. People were on social media. They were sending out email newsletters. Everyone was very excited about the ability to be online and share information. But unfortunately, as we moved through the late 2010s and now we're in the 2020s, people are a little inundated, right? I mean, I'm sure you even feel that personally. You go on your personal Facebook and you have 8 different ads pop up. You talk to your friend about something, and then the next day it shows up on Facebook as an ad, and people start to block that kind of stuff out. So how do you break through that wall of people that are just not interested in looking at ads or looking at what businesses are doing on social media anymore? We're in something called the third iteration of marketing in the recent century, and it's all about human and organic content. This is where social media can be super helpful to you if you're utilizing it the correct way. You want to use your social media to show people that you are authentic, that you are another human out there that they can interact with and feel like they have a connection with. Do they relate to what your business is doing in any way? If you're just trying to be another corporate face, it doesn't have that same, what's the word I want? The same feel for them. You'll just be like the Targets and the Walmarts that are posting ads. They want to have a real connection with you. And as a small business owner, I think you actually get to benefit from this new trend and what people want to see in their marketing. So this is why I put this at the beginning, so that we can all have this baseline understanding that you're going to look at these social media and you're going to want to use them to create relationships. Not sharing, your puppy's name with everyone, not stuff too personal, but you want people to realize the value of your business, the value of doing business with you as an individual who is just another person out there in America trying to make it. And that's what social media can help you do. So, like I said, it started as a way to just interact with family and friends. This is where people just share their normal information. But now you can connect with people across the world. You might not have known this huge statistic. There's 3 billion social media users, and that spans the entire world, everyone on the internet that you can think of. It was a very big number, and it's always changing and always evolving. So that's one of the things that you'll have to think about as well, is there may be 3 billion users, but when we talk about each of the different social media platforms, you'll realize that not all users are on all the same platforms. People who are younger or older or from different demographics or have different interests in what they're trying to accomplish will not end up on every single social media. And you yourself shouldn't have to be overwhelmed by social media and think, oh my gosh, Sarah's going to show me 7 different social media platforms today, and that means I should be on all of them. It probably does not mean you should be on all of them. We're going to talk about who is on them, and you want to match that with your target market. Are you showing up where your customers are showing up? That doesn't mean you need to show up everywhere. So why would you want to be on social media? Obviously, you want to show up where your customers are, right? So if your customers are going on, Twitter and looking for updated tweets every single day, it might be an opportunity for you to be on Twitter and have your tweets be some of the things that they're seeing. But outside of that, it helps to create some brand awareness. So you're trying to legitimize your business. You're trying to make them realize that even though you're small, you are mighty and you exist and you are professional and they can trust you to give them a high quality service. Brand awareness, having different social media accounts, having them link back to your website or link back to some information for them to be able to contact you starts to create some of that legitimacy. And like I said, human organic content is huge right now. So you can cultivate a personality on your social media as well. You get to increase your web traffic. So a really hot topic right now is search engine optimization, or SEO for short. And if you have backlinks to your website or to wherever you're trying to get people to find you, the more ways they can find you, the more channels that they can find you on, the better your search engine optimization is going to be. So that if someone just Googles your business, even if you don't have a website, hopefully if you had a Facebook or an Instagram, that does pop up. So the more times people have a way to find you, there's a huge benefit to utilizing these platforms to create what is called a backlink to getting information about you. You can manage your reputation on social media. So like I said, you want to legitimize yourself, but also people are going to be talking about your business on the internet, whether you are on the internet or not. Let me reiterate that, so a great example of this is Yelp, right? A lot of people come to me and they say, should I make a Yelp profile? Maybe, maybe not. People are going to write reviews about your business on Yelp, regardless of if you've created a Yelp profile. So you might as well have one so you can at least monitor what's going on. When you have social media, you can start to manage negative content if that was something that was happening to you in an unfortunate way. But also you can start to see what things people are positively saying and about your business, and utilize user-generated content, like I said. So if you have a Facebook and someone visits your business, they can take a picture of what they bought at your shop, for example, put it on their personal Facebook and tag your business in it, or tag your business Facebook page. And that is user-generated content. That's customers doing some of the marketing work for you. So you can really start to grow what's happening and how you're interacting with people. Social media gives you analytics and insights. So a lot of people like social media because you're just out there. But one of the things that I think is one of the hidden secrets of social media is these are free platforms, but on the back end of the business pages, they give you analytics to tell you how well you're doing. Did people like your post? Did they not like your post? Are you posting during a time of day that is getting enough traction? Those are some of those things that you need to consider if you're going to seriously dive into social media. Is this going to make sense? And am I using my time efficiently? If I'm posting all of these posts and nobody's engaging with them, is there a way to change that? You can look at your competitors, always a good thing to do. Whenever you're doing any market research, I encourage you to take a look at what's going on with your competitors. And if you were one of those people that wanted to start doing advertisements, which are paid, you could start looking at how to do targeted advertisements. Social media lets you sort out based on geography, on demographic, on a ton of different factors, how your ads are showing up in front of people. So it's not just like in a local newspaper and you hope that the right person sees it. Social media, because they have so many analytics, can help you create targeted ads. So those are some of the biggest benefits that I see for you as a small business. That was the big overview. Some of you might be thinking, okay, I kind of already was thinking that, that was what I was trying to accomplish, is some of brand awareness. I want people to know that I'm a legitimate business, and I want to gain some of those insights. There are a ton of different platforms that accomplish this. So like I said, we're not going to talk about every single platform that exists today. We're going to talk about the most popular. And if you are a small business that has never been on social media before, you might want to start with one of these more popular ones, because there's just more people on them, right? If there's more people, you're more likely to find someone on there than maybe some of the more obscure ones. But we're going to talk about them and then talk about the pros and cons. So I'm going to jump right in because this is a very content heavy webinar. Like I said, feel free to jump in if you have a question, put it in the Q&A for me. But we're going to start with probably the most well-known social media platform out there, and that would be Facebook. And before I jump into that, I'm going to pause for 1 second here and just give you all an FYI. We run a social media webinar series. So getting ready to enter the world of social media is the first one that I run, and we do them once a month. And this is where we go over all of them, right? We're going to talk about what they are, what they do, pros and cons, and then we do a basics session for each individual social media. So if after this session you're thinking, I want to get a Facebook, but I don't know how to do it, we have a Facebook basics webinar where I walk step by step how you make a Facebook business page. Same thing for Instagram, same thing for Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. They are also all located on our YouTube. So if you don't want to wait until the next time we run a Facebook basics webinar, you can find it on our YouTube channel. And I'm more than happy to talk more about that at the end of the session as well. But just wanted to give you all the heads up. Sometimes when I run this session, a lot of people have questions about, okay, well, how do I make the business account? Or how do I do this? Or how do I do that? If it's easy, I'll answer it here, but I want you to know that we do have full hour-long sessions dedicated to each one of these channels where we do a deep dive. So starting with Facebook, most of you probably have a personal Facebook. Facebook is known for being one of the most popular because it has such a varied audience. Pretty much anyone over the age of 20 is on here. I will say Gen Z is not as much on Facebook, but certainly anyone who's a millennial, Gen X, boomers, people up to their 70s and 80s are even on Facebook. So there's a varied audience here. It's across the world and it reaches pretty much every age group. There's over 2.7 billion active users, so people who are on here consistently. And you might have seen on my earlier page that there are 3 billion social media users across the world. So 2.7 billion of the 3 billion are using Facebook. It's by far the one that is most used. You can use it personally or for business. And what do you do on Facebook? Many of you probably already know this, but it's known for its personalized profiles. So it is one of the first social media that gave you the option to have a profile. This is an example of a profile, right? Where you can add a picture, you can have a background image, kind of like a wallpaper to show off your style or whatever you're trying to accomplish. And people post photos, videos, recent news or updates about their life or about their business on here. So it has a feed style where you can write posts, you can share posts, you can like other people's posts. And it also has a messaging feature now. So most of you probably already have some familiarity with that. But you might not know is that tons of people use it daily. So when you're looking for a social media channel for yourself, you want to find a social media channel where there's good engagement, right? Like I said earlier, you want the return on your investment. You want people to be engaging with you. So if you're on a platform where people are not looking at Facebook very often, it might be that the one time a week they log into the platform, they've missed your post because it was 4 or 5 days ago, you know? So having an engaged social media platform is very good to have. And when you look at some of the different platforms stacked up here, Facebook is the one that people check several times a day the most. So out of all of the social media platforms, 51% of people who are on Facebook go on it several times a day, not just once a day, several times. So you have a higher opportunity for people to see when you're posting. And then who is on here that you want to post to? So these are just some statistics that are pulled. You can take them as you will. Like I said, I'm not here to provide advice on if you should be on Facebook or not, but I do want you to look at this and think about what market you're trying to reach. So if you're someone who's selling specifically to pregnant women, or specifically to teenagers, or specifically to retirees, you know, are you reaching the right demographics? Essentially is what we want you to be starting to think about. So there's a pretty good spread of females and males on Facebook. It skews slightly higher towards female. And like I said, the age group, everybody is on Facebook. You'll notice when we look at demographics for other platforms, it does not look this good. But certainly anyone from 18 to 49 and even to 64 up here, I mean, over 75% of the people in that age group are on Facebook. So you have a really good opportunity to interact with people. And like I said, even 65 and up, 46%, almost half of those people are on here as well. Certainly if you're urban or suburban, so you're looking for people, maybe you're not here in Philly or Pittsburgh, maybe you're somewhere in the middle of Pennsylvania, you know, or I think someone said they're from Bucks County, so you're somewhere that's suburban. Certainly you're going to find people on Facebook in these areas, and even rural. There are a very significant amount of people from rural communities that use Facebook. The income is spread very evenly. So why might you care about that statistic? If you're someone who sells a high quality product like designer purses, you might want to make sure that people on the platform that would be following you have higher income, because they probably have more discretionary income to use to buy your products. Like I said, that's for you to determine, just giving you some ideas here. But on Facebook, it doesn't really matter. The income is a fairly even spread no matter what you're trying to sell. Education, same thing. The reason the statistics look so big is because almost everybody is on here. And it even goes globally. So what might be just an interesting fun fact for you is that the only country that has more people on Facebook than the United States is India, and it's by a significant portion. So especially if you're someone who's looking at what your international market might look like, some of you might think that's a very premature question, but I'm sure there are some of you that are going international. If you're on Facebook, there are a significant amount of people on India in India that are using Facebook. So that's the brief overview of what it does. You post, you make some videos and updates. What can you do with your business on Facebook? I encourage you to share updates, make posts that have photos about your product, share videos about how your product is made. Make sure you have a significant logo, that you're making some good posts here, that if people are chatting you, that you're responding to the Facebook Messenger chats. Now, before I move on to Instagram, I really quickly want to give everyone a word of warning on Facebook. Very recently, some of you might have seen this in the news, Facebook rebranded itself as Meta. Maybe some of you have seen that. When they did the move to Meta, they made the way you make a Facebook business account different. So some of you might have, you know, prior to 2 months ago said, after attending Sarah's getting ready to enter the world of social media webinar, she said Facebook's interesting, And I think it's pretty easy to make a Facebook business account, so I'll just do it. I don't even need to watch her webinar on it. And I would have probably agreed with you. But with the new Meta update, Facebook business pages have become much more difficult to create. Some of you might have even experienced this yourself, where, and I will say Meta itself, I'm a little upset with how this process is going, has only converted about half of the people who are on Facebook to this new method. So, you know, if I went on, I did a stress test and mine still looks like the old Facebook business account. Meanwhile, I've been working with clients who they were the half that got converted already. So their Facebook business account is the new business account. And not to say you can't create it, I encourage you to still take a look, but you might have some questions you might want to talk to the SBDC about because it does look different. I'm just gonna say that it does have a new business manager. They require you to make posts in the business suite. So it's got a lot of new bells and whistles that are supposed to make your life easier, but we all know in reality is not always the case. So that's just a quick word of warning there. And if you go online and take a look at our Facebook Basics webinar, it's going to be showing you how to make a Facebook business page in the old version of Facebook. So if you're in the new version, even Meta itself has not entirely created materials to work through that process. I'm more than happy to take some questions about that if anyone is concerned, but I just want to let you know that it's going to look a little bit different, and that's okay. One of the biggest things, for example, is the Facebook business page used to just be a page that you monitored from your personal profile. Now, when you make the business page, it comes with its own separate news feed. It can have people following and you can respond to them like in a separate feed from your personal account. So it's different. And I'm just going to leave it there for now because I want to keep working through this. I think there's a lot of benefit on being the most popular platform, but be aware that they've been doing some really funky changes recently. All right, so Instagram. This is probably the next most popular. There's about 1 billion active users, and some of you might already know this. It's owned by Meta. So Facebook and Instagram work very well together. I think it's probably of a lot of benefit to people if you're interested in being on Facebook or Instagram to kind of gun for the other one as well, because like I said, there's something called Business Suite, Facebook Business Suite, which allows you to create posts that go to both Facebook and business and Instagram at the exact same time. It allows you to schedule things on Instagram in advance, which you cannot just do on the Instagram platform itself. So there's a lot to be said here. We do have an entire webinar on our YouTube called Using Business Suite. So if you're someone who currently has a Facebook or an Instagram, but has no idea how to connect them with Business Suite, we do have a webinar that helps you with that. But that's one of those things I will say is a pro. So if you're looking at Instagram, it does work with Facebook because they're owned by the same company. What can you do on Instagram? This is another popular one. You guys probably already know. It's picture based. So everything you're going to put on here is a picture, unlike a Facebook or a Twitter or a LinkedIn where you can make a post that's just words. This one has to have a picture associated with it, a picture or a video. This is good news for you though, because pictures get 3 times the engagement of a post with just words, and videos get 8 times the engagement. So you're going to want to be utilizing pictures and video no matter what platform you're on. Let me say that again. Even if you're just on Facebook or just on Twitter, you should be using photos and videos. So you might as well take a look at what Instagram's got to offer anyway. Instagram has a ton of bells and whistles that are new. So you can make a post of a photo or a video that just goes into the news feed, similar like a Facebook news feed. You can look at people who follow you. Same thing if you have a business account, you can have people follow and see photos of your business. But they also have things like Instagram Live. So you can take a video with your phone in front of you live talking and have it go to your account. It has something called IGTV, which is where you can do a video, and the video can be up to an hour in length if you had something you wanted to talk about and share with your followers. It has Reels, which are minute-long videos. So just a tiny little minute or less. Think of like a commercial. That might be a really great way to start playing around with like little infomercials and things like that for your business. And something called Stories, which are 24-hour posts. So they go away after 24 hours. You post it there specifically and it disappears. What might you use that for as a business? You might use that to post a quick sale or a discount or just a nice little update that doesn't have to be as professional. Because Facebook and Instagram are owned by the same company, you can also do Facebook stories. Some of you might have already seen that. So they do kind of cross over a little bit. So this is a very visual platform. If you have something that's visually appealing, I encourage you to take a look. If you're someone who sells food or clothes or makeup or anything that is really easy to take pictures of, I think Instagram is worthwhile. If you're someone who's doing, let's say, accounting or manufacturing, I won't say don't do Instagram. I think if you're creative, you could make it work. But you want to make sure your pictures are engaging, right? You want to make sure that you have enough content to post and that it's interesting to people. And you want to make sure the right people are on here. So we'll talk about that on the next slide, but are the people you're even trying to reach on Instagram? If you're saying, you know what, all of the people I want to do the taxes for as the accountant aren't even on Instagram, then you might not need to be on here. The whole point is being where your customers are. The other thing I will say is it's an entirely mobile platform. So if you're someone who prefers desktop and doesn't really like having a ton of apps on your phone, you might not enjoy Instagram that much. The reason this says almost entirely mobile is you can go to like Instagram.com on your computer and look at someone's profile, but you can't make a post. So you can just look at things on the desktop. If you want to make a post or interact with people, excuse me, you have to be on the Instagram app. So just making sure you're aware of that. But, you know, it's really easy if you have the Instagram app to take a picture on your phone and then upload it right to Instagram. So it has that benefit. So this looks similar to the graphic I showed for Facebook, right? You might recall I said Facebook has the most engagement in a day. Instagram is right up there, though. 42% of people that are on Instagram go on there several times a day. So once again, this is something that a lot of people are looking at, and your updates are more likely to be viewed by them. And you might want to know who else is on here, right? Are you reaching the demographics that you need to reach as a small business owner? It skews more towards female. So 43% of the people on Instagram are female versus 31% male. The age is a little younger. So certainly if you're trying to meet preteens or teenagers, Instagram is going to have much higher engagement than Facebook, 72% of people in that age range. And then even 18-year-olds to 40-year-olds, you can see a significant chunk of people are using Instagram. And then unlike Facebook, it significantly peters off. So, you know, I've had clients, like I said, I've seen all manner of clients. I've had clients who are specifically targeting, you know, people who are retirees or trying to reach people who are going into retirement homes or need, you know, assistance like that. Or you're looking for people who are looking for financial and, you know, wealth management plans as they get towards the end of their working years. You know, anyone that's in this age range, or like stuff for grandmas, you know, if you're someone who sells tchotchkes for grandmas and things like that, you're not going to find these many people on Instagram. It's much significantly lower here. Same thing with rural, right? Like I said, Facebook impressively hits a lot of the rural area. But if you're out in the middle of, I don't know, like Altoona, Pennsylvania, not as many people are on Instagram in the rural areas of the United States. Still, a significant portion are in for urban and suburban. I would say that the income skews a tiny bit more towards higher incomes, but once again, it's a pretty even spread, mostly due to the fact that the younger ages are the ones who are on here. And education, once again, I would say this is almost insignificant. When you look at some other platforms, you'll see the spread is huge. Here, not so much. Once again, just due to the age of the people who are on here. And we have the highest engagement in the United States. So India's up there, but US has the most people on Instagram. So good for you if you're in the United States, which most of you are, and you want to be on Instagram. The most people that use Instagram are in the United States. So these are just some ideas to kind of get your mind rolling on if the right people are on here to care about your product. Once again, like I said, if you're someone who sells women's clothes, you might want to make sure that they are the people who would like the style of clothes you sell are on here. If you're someone who cares about how much spending money people have, you would have to look at the income, you know. So those are some of those things that we're going to keep looking at as we move through the platforms. The next one is Twitter. So Facebook and Instagram are by far the most popular, and they are owned by the same company, so they interact well together. Twitter is different, and it has a completely separate model. So while Facebook and Instagram have many similarities, they have a news feed. The idea is to engage and interact and share information. Even though Instagram is only photo and video, they have a lot of similarities. Twitter is more for updates. Kind of think like a news bulletin type platform where it still has a news feed, but you have to use a short form, like sentence or two update, and that's pretty much all you get. The people who are on in Twitter the most often are, big companies that are sharing new updates, or a lot of like news companies, weather channels, people like that are just trying to share immediate news or just in news. That's the kind of stuff that happens on here. It has 330 million global users, so it doesn't hit the billion mark like Facebook and Instagram, but certainly still a more than enormous amount of people. And you can post photos, videos here as well. So like I said, no matter what platform you're on, I want you to look at putting photos and videos there. It also allows you to do things like links and polls. But like I said, it all has to be short updates. Another thing people do is, like the big Targets and the Walmarts of the world might use it as a customer service tool. So, if a customer complains, they can do a tweet complaint and then Target can respond, So there are some creative ways to use it. As a small business owner, I'm going to be completely transparent. It might not be as valuable as some of the other ones, but you can make that determination for yourself. You might find a very creative way to use Twitter if you want to use it as a customer service tool. Or if you're someone who, you think you're going to be putting a lot of polls out where you want to poll your followers, especially let's take that clothing designer example again. If you're someone who, wants to post like a 5-question poll and say, which of these dresses do you like the best, or something like that. If you're someone who you think you're going to be doing a lot of that kind of trying to engage people content, Twitter is great because people engage a lot on Twitter. They like the little short, fast responsiveness of interacting with businesses on here. Who's on Twitter though? For you to know if the people that you want to interact with are here. It's smaller, right? So not as many people are on Twitter, but still a huge amount globally. 21% of females and 24% of males across the world are on Twitter. So once again, a pretty minimal spread to need to know a difference there. The age, what I want to point out, is falls a little bit more towards the 18 to 29-year-old range. So we're looking at young professionals. Like I said, these are the kinds of people that want that fast news, that are looking for quick updates. It really peters off at the older range. So we're looking at people who are younger, who maybe have the time to scroll on Twitter more often. And it's not seen very often in rural settings. Even in urban and suburban, we just have a teeny bit. I would say most of this has to do with because it's all about fast news. So cities move faster. There are more updates to have happen. People in rural areas probably don't need to interact with, new updates that frequently. The income spreads higher here because we're looking at that young professionals age range. You'll see that normally income and age seem to have a very strong relationship with each other. So we're looking at people with a little bit more expendable income. So like I said, if you're that clothing designer and you want to get updates in real time from people who are following you on Twitter on what they like and what they don't like, you're probably also interacting with people that have a higher, sorry, I didn't mean to switch that, higher income. Same thing, college skews. Most of 30% of the people on Twitter do have a college degree. So all of those kind of go hand in hand. The people who are on here are trying to do those fast share updates. And once again, looking globally, more people are on Twitter in the United States than anywhere else. So once again, this is a fast update model. Just really quick, I think you can only have 140 characters. So we're talking about a sentence or two. And you can share videos, links, pictures, polls, but it's the whole point is that it's very quick and that you can reshare information, but you have a limited amount of space to share stuff about your business. Yes, we will be talking about LinkedIn. Someone just asked that. So yep, we will be doing that. And then these other couple questions I'm gonna keep saving until we get through all the platforms for everybody. But I just want to make sure that we have an understanding of who's on each platform and what the platforms do before we dive into some strategies. So some of you might have just groaned when I put YouTube on here. I find that many small businesses get overwhelmed by YouTube because it is entirely video based, and I completely sympathize. I think video editing or just making videos can seem very overwhelming, but it is important to know that YouTube is considered a social media platform and it has 2 billion users. That is more than Instagram. So it is also considered a search platform. It is owned by Google, and it is the second largest search platform in the world, which means when we're talking about things like search engine optimization or having it be easier for people to find you, having a YouTube channel, even with a couple of videos on it, is going to be a tremendous help for you, because videos get such good engagement, and YouTube is known for its search engine optimization. It's a hub for news and entertainment, so people go on here and they might look for music videos or how-to videos, or their favorite comedian, does a skit. Pretty much it's a huge range of information sharing that happens here, but it's only videos, as most of you probably already know. What can you do as a small business owner here? You could make videos that show how to use your product, or show how you make the product. Remember that human organic content? People love when you show them how you make a product. Or you might just have a why video, like, this is why I do what I do, or this is me doing my project with my trusty sidekick, my dog, or my kid who's helping me, or anything that you think can relate to what your business does. We have a ton of content, and I do an entire how to use YouTube webinar also, where you can get some ideas for how to be creative with what you use YouTube for. But I think this is a really great place for some of you to start considering, what kind of stuff can I put on here? People can view your content. You can upload any kind of video. You can rate videos. You can share other people's content as well. So who else is on here? You might notice I provided a different graphic on the right. I'm going to talk about that first. So I think this is going to be really interesting for many of you to see. When you look at what platforms people use the most when they are online, YouTube outranks them all. Remember, it's the world's second largest search engine for a reason. Facebook is pretty much up there, but all the other social media platforms fall way below. When you look at what is used the most, YouTube by far. So once again, I'm not making these numbers up. It's a great way for you to get better traction when people are Googling. Who is on YouTube? 68% of females and 78% of males, so it skews slightly higher that men are going to be on here. And look at the age range. This is even higher than Facebook, except for 65 and up. I think 65 and up had like 45% of people with 65 and up. But every other age range here, everyone is going to be on YouTube. 85% of people 13 to 17, 91% of 18 to 29-year-olds. This is something that especially the Gen Z and the Gen Ys, the millennials, have grown up with, is being on YouTube. You need something, you search on YouTube. You want a video, search on YouTube. You want music, search on YouTube. So being someone who is also present on this platform is going to be a huge benefit to you as a small business. And this is a platform that reaches very well into the rural area. So you are definitely in urban and suburban, and even in rural, people are looking for stuff on YouTube. Once again, the income is a pretty even spread. So is the education, but it skews tiny bit towards high income and having a college degree. So once again, looking at people who are educated, who might have some more expendable income, there's a lot of possibilities here. Someone asked about LinkedIn. So here it is. I am going to go ahead and jump right in. I saw a couple questions in the chat. I wanted to make sure that we were all okay here. Let me see. The YouTube channel link, you can just, I'll put that in the chat at the end, I promise, but it's also just Temple SBDC. So YouTube, if you go to youtube.com, go into the search bar and put in Temple SBDC, you'll see it. And if you put in Temple SBDC and my name, you'll see all of the social media series that I've done. We also have a channel, I'm sorry, not a channel, a playlist of just all of the social media basics. It's called Social Media Series, and you can find them all in one easy place. Someone also did ask, do I have a small business myself? I am a solopreneur. So one of the things I do on the side is I do consulting at local universities and with local nonprofits. So that is something I included a little bit in my intro. So I've seen what a lot of you have had to struggle with. I've done a lot of it myself. I think that's one of the things that makes me so passionate about talking about social media. Is there's a lot that happens in this space. And I just want to reiterate, as we're about halfway through the list of popular platforms, you certainly do not need to be on all of them. You might say, you know what, YouTube sounds too much for me right now. I'm going to stick with Instagram because I think that's more manageable. That's fine too. I'm just here to give you some information to help you figure out if you're in the right place for you. So you're not wasting your time. I don't want you to, after this session, make 7 social media channels and then forget about half of them and only post an update once a month, because that's not going to be beneficial to your long-term plan as a small business owner. So LinkedIn is one of my personal favorites. It has 260 million monthly users. So this is still slightly even less than Twitter. Out of the platforms we've looked at so far, this one has the lowest amount of users, but still a huge amount of people are on here. And I think part of the reason there's just not as many people is because you do have to be over 18 for one to be on LinkedIn. But also it's geared towards businesses and professionals specifically. So it's meant to curate relationships on a more professional basis, which creates more legitimacy in the channel. It is used for professional networking, finding talent. So if you're trying to find an employee, it's where you can create a personal brand for legitimacy and promote your business. Many people have a mix of shared and original content. So you can share like quotes and graphs and things that other people have put. And you can also put some original content about what you're accomplishing at your business. Why might you as a business owner want to be on here? Certainly, if you're anyone in a professional service industry or in a business to business industry, you should probably be on LinkedIn because other businesses are on LinkedIn. So you want to be where your customers are. If your other customers are businesses, then probably one of the easiest ways to get to them is on a social media platform that is specifically for people in business. One of the other things I will say is LinkedIn is known for creating that legitimacy that is really important as a small business owner. When someone who has never interacted with your small business is interested in you and they find you online, probably one of the first things they might do is Google you. And you want something to show up to prove to them that you are a legitimate business. You're not just like some sketchy site from China, and that people have bought your products and that it does look legitimate, So how do you help them feel that safety or security with your business? LinkedIn is known for creating that reputation. So this is a great place to just have your profile and be present and share information about what you're accomplishing. This is not necessarily a platform where I would recommend you post well, let me rephrase that. You can do paid ads, but I wouldn't use it as a platform where every single day you're posting a new post that just says, buy my product, this is my product, buy my product. LinkedIn is more about those long-term relationships. If I'm going to be honest, I advocate to think about relationships in the long run on any social media platform. That's why I put that as my first slide, right? Social media platforms are relationship builders. They're not instant money makers. They're not instant engagement makers. They're relationship builders to get people to like your business, to interact with you, and then buy your product. They are a sales channel, a funnel to your product. So when you're on LinkedIn, you want to think about the long gain of just interacting with people, learning more about their business, learning how you can do your business better, and sharing what you're accomplishing in a professional format. So this wouldn't be something where you would share pictures of puppies or of baking or things like that. You would share more professional images related to your business here. And who is on LinkedIn? Pretty much same gender-wise as we've pretty much seen across the board, maybe slightly more males, but not very much. Most people are in the 30 to 49 age range, and probably a slightly significant percentage. So certainly if you're someone looking for midlife people or established business professionals, people who maybe have a family, that's the age range that we're looking on. These are the people who are most likely on LinkedIn. And it's definitely more urban and suburban. There's not nearly any people in rural areas that are on LinkedIn. The income and education is what I want you to pay the most attention to. Out of all of the platforms we've looked at, this one is where the spread is the most significant. All right, education and income correlated a teeny bit here. Not necessarily in all cases, but you can see that if you're looking for someone who has that discretionary income, LinkedIn is a great place to be. This is where more established, you can see with the age as well, more established career professionals, or maybe even people with families, or live in bigger cities. This is where these people are going to be showing up the most. Next, I have Pinterest, which might be a new one for some of you. We're actually teaching an entire webinar on how to use Pinterest tomorrow. So if you're more interested in Pinterest, please do sign up for that one. This one has 300+ million users, so more than LinkedIn by a teeny bit, almost as many as Twitter. And this one's kind of similar to Instagram in that it's purely visual, but where Instagram is you interacting with other people and seeing what they're posting, and it's in like a news feed style. Pinterest is more like a bulletin board. where you search for a certain keyword, like let's say summer dresses, and it just kind of pulls you up a bunch of different pictures, and it looks just like this, like they're kind of all slanted, slide side by side next to each other. And the idea here is that you're picking information to like, pretty much based off of the image, right? That's what draws people in. So once again, it's a highly visual platform, but what people do on here is they pin content that they like to their personal board, which is kind of like their personal Pinterest profile, to save for later. So people might find stuff on here like DIY projects or fashion ideas, exercise routines, beauty routines, photography, food, like anything they like. And it's not always because they want to buy something, and it's not always because they want to engage with you. I think that's one of the things that trips people up with Pinterest, is it's not like the other platforms where, you know, you post something and you want someone to like it or retweet it, or the goal is for them to then know you as a person. A lot of the time what's happening on here is it's creating like a mini picture-esque like Google funnel of sorts, where people are searching for something and your post hopefully comes up for them to engage with, for it to become a sales channel, right? There are a couple different ways you can use this. Certainly, if you were that clothing person, you could go on Pinterest and take a really stylish picture of your dress and put it on here, so that when someone searches summer dresses, hopefully your dress pops up and they can pin it. Now, just because they pin it doesn't mean they will buy it. Pinning it is kind of like putting it in a save part of like a Target, you know, or a Walmart website, where you can just like save items, not necessarily put in the cart, just save, you know, that they like it. But it's a start. It's getting your business out there. It's creating just another way for them to Google you, right? Just another SEO, another place for you to show up. The goal would then be that, of course, someday they go into their pins and they see this dress and they go, you know what, I want that dress. And with your pin, you can connect it with a description. You can put a link to your website for them to buy it. You can put anything you want with the picture, but the picture is what's drawing someone in. Pictures or videos, I should say. It also does video. But certainly if you're not someone who has a product that you can just like put on here for people to buy, you can provide other things just to create engagement, right? Let's say you were that financial advisor or accountant. You might say, I have no cute pictures. No one's going to search for that on here. Maybe someone will search, though, wealth management tips. And if you create a really cutesy graphic in Canva or something that has good colors and branding and engagement, and just, you know, 5 quick tips for how to manage your money, someone might find it on Pinterest and pin it. People might share it. They might send it to others. They might give it a ton of likes. The more likes it gets, the higher it shows up for other people who are on Pinterest. And even though they might not immediately then go sign up for your services with you, once again, it's creating a funnel that hopefully one day someone will say, you know what, I actually want to interact with this person. So Pinterest, like I just said, LinkedIn was long-term gain. I would say Pinterest is probably even more long-term. You have to seriously consider if this is a good fit for your business. And we have an entire webinar tomorrow. I think it's at 1. And I can put the link in the chat if anyone's interested. Where we talk about how you set up a Pinterest account, why you'd want to set up a Pinterest account, and all of that good stuff. Who's on Pinterest? This one definitely skews towards females. Like I said, this is just something that I don't know why, especially women just seem to really enjoy being on Pinterest, because you can create those buckets of information about wedding ideas or flower ideas or DIY projects as a mom. There are a lot of things. Certainly there are males on here as well, but I would say even just like the way Pinterest is formatted, you know, they are also a company, right? And they have kind of branded themselves as being more woman-faced. And this is something that's going to be a little bit skewed more towards younger people, but honestly, pretty much anyone up to age 60-ish is going to be on Pinterest, just not as much as other platforms. And what I will say is, whether you're urban, suburban, or rural, it's pretty even spread here, which is kind of cool. No matter where you are, people are pinning. The income skews higher, which is good to know too. And I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to it. Maybe these people have more time on their hands, I don't know. But people who are on Pinterest tend to have a much higher income and have some college. So once again, if you're someone who's trying to, you know, because things that people are looking for really picturesque items here. So if you have something that's high style, this might be a good place to start just getting some pictures out there and sharing with people what you're accomplishing. Now, really quickly, I'm going to jump into the two most new and probably ones that many of you feel a little nervous about. We do have a Snapchat and TikTok basics overview of the two that I did in December. That's on our YouTube as well. And I plan to do separate ones where we like walk through each one in more detail. But these are two that are used heavily by Gen Z. So if you're trying to reach anyone under 30, Snapchat and TikTok are going to be big ones to start taking a look at. TikTok a little bit more so, but I think Snapchat is worth mentioning. It has 210 million daily users, and that we put the word daily in there. There, people are on here a ton, maybe even more than Facebook at sometimes, as you noticed. Did I include that graph on my next slide? Let me check. No, I didn't. But if we go all the way back really quickly, this chart here, Snapchat is the next one up. It's actually higher than Instagram. So right after Facebook, how many times a day are people searching something? It's mostly Snapchat. So there are a ton of people that are on Snapchat every single day. It's meant to be fast content, similar to Twitter, but Snapchat is all pictures. And it's mobile only, so you have to get the app. This is not something you can find on your desktop, but it's visual. And what makes it really interesting is Snapchat is the company that started this stories model. So you might have remembered when I talked about Instagram, I said Instagram has something called Insta Stories, which is where you put a picture up or a video and it's only there for 24 hours. It goes to a separate section than your newsfeed and people can see it for 24 hours, then it disappears. And because Instagram has it, Facebook has it. The reason they did this is to directly compete with Snapchat. Snapchat's whole model is you send a picture and it disappears after someone opens it. They get like 10-15 seconds and then it's gone. Or you have the Snapchat story, which is there for 24 hours. So this is where it all began. This is where instant photos started. So when you do this, there are ways you can utilize it for your business that are really creative. You can create a Snapchat profile where people can see information publicly about your business just to kind of gain awareness, right, to find you. And you can post quick sales or discounts or videos or pictures that aren't as edited. And what do I mean by that? I feel like when you go on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere where you're posting a photo semi-permanently, because of course you could always delete it, but permanently for all intents and purposes until you remove it, there is this need to make sure it looks really nice, right? You want to look professional, to have it really represent your brand. You might spend a lot of time editing it, and that can be very time consuming. The reason Snapchat might be really ideal for you as we think about human organic marketing is because you don't have to have overly edited photos here or put a ton of effort into what the photo is. You might just take a really quick photo of the product as you're making it, or a photo of you making it, or a photo of your employees at the front desk, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be something that is overly glamorous. It's just a snapshot of your life. I think that's why people like Snapchat. And when you're a business trying to accomplish human organic content, being able to just do like these really personal, like no green screen, no makeup, like this is just who I am and this is just rawly what my business does. There's a lot of value to that if you want to start diving into what Snapchat can do. People can also chat you on Snapchat. I will say that. So like if someone saw your Snapchat and was like, I'm interested, how do I buy this? You could always respond. So there is a way to interact with people here as well after they've seen your content. 24% female and 24% male individuals are on here. So the spread is even. The age is significantly younger. So you will not find probably older individuals on Snapchat nearly as much, but certainly 13 to 30 and a little bit in the 30 to 50 age range are going to be on here. So once again, we're looking at that younger generation, more urban spread, and it's obvious when you look at income and education as well. Many of the 13 to 7-year-olds don't have very much income and don't have a high school degree yet. So that's all reflective here. So this might be for someone who is more of a cheap, not that any of you have cheap products, but someone who is selling a product that is not meant for someone who's trying to buy Louis Vuitton bags, for example. Like this is maybe meant for some of those more day-to-day items, or restaurants, or people who are selling more casual items to individuals. And certainly if you're trying to reach anyone in the younger age group, you're going to find them on Snapchat. Similarly, you'll find them on TikTok. TikTok is the newest platform. It has over 800. This is an outdated number, I think. It has over 1 million users. This might be 800 business users. I'll have to edit that out. But it actually has grown significantly. We first started doing this webinar about 1.5 years ago. And even since then, the amount of people on TikTok has skyrocketed. It has actually outperformed growth, even over Facebook. Like, the amount of people who became obsessed with TikTok is kind of crazy. If any of you have kids, you probably are nodding your head and going, yep, everyone's obsessed. But it's most popular with Gen Z. And what you do here is just like Instagram, you create a content and it goes onto like a little feed. But where Instagram is mostly photo heavy with some videos, TikTok is only videos. But once again, videos get 8 times the engagement. So you probably want videos anyway. But this is another one where it can be a little bit more casual, right? People go on here and they lip sync, they sing or dance, or they do a popular TikTok trend where like there's specific dance moves that you do or things like that. There's a lot that can be done on TikTok to take advantage of trends that other people are hopping on to then get your video in front of people. So these are short videos, less than 1 minute in length. Sometimes you can edit them, sometimes you don't have to. And once again, I encourage you to take some time to take a look at our video or other videos on YouTube to figure out how you then take the next step with TikTok, but I think it's worthwhile to consider. The age range that's on here the most is, interestingly, 18 to 24-year-olds. You probably thought I was going to say teenagers again, but actually we're looking at young adults, which is a great age range if you're looking for yuppies, young urban professionals. Over 25, it pretty much peters down, but I would say that this chart might be a little bit out of date because it's from 2019. Certainly more 25 to 35-year-olds are on here. You even see a lot of older people. A lot of people saw their kids using it, and then they got a TikTok account as well. So you see plenty of, funny moms and funny dads also making TikToks. So certainly this is a growing platform. It's the most important takeaway here is this is just looking at how many people were on here from each age in a snapshot in time. TikTok's growth has been exponential. I would be surprised if it didn't outperform many of the other social media platforms in a matter of years. So I'm going to pause, and we have a half hour to talk about how to use it and some FAQs. That's my favorite part. But I'm just going to take a look at the Q&A really quickly, and then we will jump into that. All right, what do we got here? I'm unclear how to use TikTok and Snapchat for advertising for physical products. Can I work with you? Yes, certainly. So any of you can sign up for consulting. I will say that. Garba, if you have a minute, if you could just put a link to consulting in the chat, or I can do it after the fact. But certainly you can get assistance figuring out TikTok or Snapchat at any time. I think when you have a physical product, it's easier to post on TikTok and Snapchat. I'm not sure if you meant service products, Lenore, but for example, if you're selling, let's take the clothing example again. If you're selling clothes, certainly I think TikTok and Snapchat are great places to be because you can make funny videos about what's going on, or you can highlight a current trend, or you can just say, or just keep it really simple. I mean, you might not get a ton of engagement at first, but it's always the long-term game, right? Where you just take videos of your product, or what a lot of people do is on TikTok, it's very popular to have people like model wearing the clothes right now. I've seen a lot of those quick change type videos. So certainly you can put that kind of product on here, and service products as well. I've seen a lot of people do like fake Q&As with a client where they're themselves and they ask a question and then the video pans and it's them again, and answering. So there's a lot you can do, and we certainly have consultants here that can assist you with that. Someone else asked, how can we work directly with someone for help? Yes, so I will put something in the chat as well, but temple.edu/SBDC, there's a huge button right on the left-hand side that says, request counseling. You just have to fill out that form. Easy peasy. And then you'll be taken to get assistance. They'll assign you a counselor and you can work with anyone. Like I said, it's no cost. And if you're someone who needs help with marketing, it is statewide. So anyone across the state who needs help with social media marketing can get assistance. All right, you're selling artwork. Yeah, I definitely think artwork can be done on TikTok and Snapchat. I have every confidence that it can. So we can definitely have more of a conversation around that. All right, let's see. We got a lot of good questions here. Someone said, what if you're selling health services like holistic coaching and functional lab testing? Functional lab testing might be a bit of a sell on TikTok, but certainly anything with coaching. I've seen coaches do really well with TikTok. And then, like I said, those videos can also be used on YouTube or Instagram or wherever else. Fun fact, in case, remember how I mentioned Instagram Reels? Instagram Reels are 60-minute mini videos that Instagram created. That was also in direct competition to TikTok. They saw that TikTok was getting really popular with their 60-second video platform. So Instagram created Insta Reels. So you'll see all of the platforms kind of compete with each other. So certainly making content for one can always benefit being on another. But if we're just talking in general, if you're selling coaching or testing, you know, those kinds of things, I would certainly start off with something like a Facebook. You might want to consider doing a LinkedIn if your lab testing is something that's going to be business to business or looking at professionals or just having a professional face to make it look legitimate. You might not find as much traction on Twitter, but you never know. And you can always try out like I said, a Pinterest where you provide some little advice in a graphic and see if anyone bites on taking the next step, or make those, you know, like I said, Q&A videos on TikTok. So there's a lot that can be done there. I think when you start opening your mind to the possibilities of what can be really creative, there's a lot. And sometimes it can be hard to do that. I will say that right now. Sometimes it's hard to think outside of the box or see how you can make social media work for you. That's why we have people here to help you. And like I said, I'm not going to force you to meet with us, but if you want assistance, it's here and it's no cost. So we want you to take advantage if it makes sense for you. Someone said, I'm in the early stages of my business. Which platform would you recommend to start for a retail store, crafting yarn supplies? Definitely, I would say Facebook, Instagram, crafting and yarn. You can certainly make very beautiful pictures about that. Even being on a YouTube or a TikTok and having little videos of people making yarn supplies, I think would be of huge value. So those are some of the ones that I would start taking a look at. Everyone wants to know about their specific situation, right? Like I said, I'm not here to give you advice and have you run with it and then go, oh, Sarah told me I only need these 3, you know, but this is just based on my professional opinion where I think you should start. And certainly you can always have more or less, and your business might change over time. You might find that your customers change, or that you might just not have the time to keep up with 4 platforms, so you only want 3. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things that go into this. But, you know, for example, someone said, if you're an interior designer, certainly I would want to be on LinkedIn. Anything that's in a professional service space, you should make a LinkedIn. 100%. You probably will also want a Facebook. If your clients are okay with you sharing the insides of their homes where you've designed, an Instagram would be really cool. Or even a TikTok. People love seeing like DIY remodels or like home update ideas. You could do a really cute little TikTok video or a longer YouTube video. I think those are all really worthwhile places for you to take a look at. Same thing with someone said a novel, same thing. Novel, I would say probably Facebook. If you're an author and you're trying to promote yourself to publishers, you should make sure your LinkedIn is clean. And you can probably take a look at YouTube as a way to do little readings or about me, or how did I come up with this story. For Instagram, you might want to take a look at what pictures you could do for your book. Someone says they're in Adams County. Would I still be able to get support with marketing? Yes. So because of my logo back here, the digital transformation and e-commerce assistance offered at Temple is offered statewide. So if you're someone who needs help with anything in the digital marketing and e-commerce space, and you're located anywhere in Pennsylvania, you can get that assistance. Someone said, can you send the same message to several platforms at the same time? We're going to get to that. That's a great question. I love that. So I think that's a great way for us to kind of transition here into how to use social media for your business. You know what all the platforms do. Let's take a look at how you do them, right? And do them in a way that's easy for you. You're probably going to do an eye roll here because everyone always does at this point, but you have to start with a plan. Sorry, that's just the truth. And there's a reason to this this being up here first, is because I know it can sound kind of tedious. Everyone gets excited. They want to just jump in. Before you jump in, Don't feel like you have to write a 10-page marketing plan, but I encourage you to even get a sticky note out right now and just write down some ideas of what you're trying to accomplish. Do you want 10 people to buy your product by the end of the month? Is it that you want to get 500 followers? Do you want to get reshares, like this many people shared your video? I mean, what is it that you want to have happen? It's important to put these goals and objectives up at the beginning, because otherwise you could be going through social media on any of them and not getting any engagement and not getting anyone to actually funnel back and buy your product, but you've spent months and months working on it and maybe hours a week without anything to show for it. So it's always good to know when you're accomplishing what you want to or not. For example, if your goal was to have 10 people buy my product by the end of the month, and the end of the month comes around and only 2 people did, you might say, okay, either I need to change my marketing strategy, I need to market more, I need to market less, I need to be on a different platform. But unless you know what you want to accomplish, you won't know if you need to make a change, right? And I think you should take that advice to anything with your business. What I encourage you to do is take a look at the competition. So a lot of you were asking in the chat, well, where should I be if I'm an interior designer? Where should I be if I'm a bakery? Where should I be if I'm in accounting? Take a look at what your competition is doing. That's a great place to start, because you might not entirely know where your clients are, but if your clients are similar to theirs and they're established already, they probably know. So, if you're a local bakery in Philly, take a look at what the bakery 2 streets down from you is doing. Do they have a Facebook? Do they have an Instagram? Sometimes researching what the competition can do can validate where you should start, but it also might show you where you can show up that they're not showing up and create some unique value. But do the research. Maybe they're not there because there's no value in being there. Maybe they're not there because they didn't attend this webinar and didn't think they needed to be on TikTok or something. And maybe they do, So I just encourage you to start thinking about those things. You can get a social media audit conducted. So this is for those of you that maybe already have a couple accounts and don't know if you should even be on them or if you're doing them correctly. One of the things we offer as part of our statewide program is something called a social media audit. So if you're someone who's already fumbling around on social media a little bit, but want some advice on how to be better at it, sign up for our consulting, and I can put a link to the chat if Garba did not do so yet. And okay, he did. Perfect. Thank you so much. And we can do an audit for you free of charge. You can meet with someone after the fact and they audit all of your social media to see how you can be better at it. And I encourage you to create a calendar of what you want to accomplish and when, because it can take a lot of time to be on social media. So, are you going to be posting all of your stuff on Sundays? Are you planning that one week you'll promote discounts and the next week you'll put like a fun human content? What does your content look like? Those are some of those questions that I just want you to start playing around with and putting down on that sticky note. So I'll just reiterate here, decide what platforms are right for you. Don't just make assumptions. Don't just say videos scare me, so I'm not doing YouTube and TikTok. Okay, don't do it. Don't make assumptions. Try it. Take a look at our webinars on how to do them if you need to, or meet with our consultant, we'll walk you through it. But there's benefits and there's also cons to each of these. And you just need to find what makes the most sense for you. What's reaching your customer? And also, what do you have the time for? Look at the data on how things are doing. We looked at some of the data here today. That was the point of the webinar. And different social media channels will meet different audience goals. So you might, to the woman who was talking about holistic coaching, you might want a LinkedIn because it helps you look professional with professional businesses, but you might also want a TikTok because it helps you engage with younger generations who might need help and who might need coaching. Or you might also want to be on Facebook because you will just interact with, it's an easy way for people to always contact you via Facebook Messenger. You might want to be on Pinterest with some advice for, Gen X moms who are on Pinterest a lot. I mean, there are a ton of different reasons to be on different platforms, and I hope that's part of what you gained from today's session. Most importantly is just knowing your audience, so who are they? What are they doing? How do they behave? And where are they? Your customer is not everyone. I hope I drilled that one home. When I do starting a business, the webinar where we just talk about generically what you need to do to get into business, one of my favorite things to do is say, do market research. Doesn't have to be a long, tedious process, but spend some time just fumbling around the internet, figuring out who is your client, where are they, what are they doing. because your customer is not everyone. When someone comes to me and says, I market to everyone, what you're really doing is marketing to no one. Because how can they identify with it? If nobody can look at that marketing and say, oh yeah, that's totally me, or I definitely need that, or I've had that same problem. If they can't look at the post and think that, then you're not marketing to them. And if nobody can think that, then you're not marketing to anyone. So I think that's really something that I need you to take from this webinar is even when you get on social media, what you're posting is going to matter. And you want to build those relationships, so besides just posting, I encourage you to also, when someone posts on your page or when someone mentions you or when you follow other people, compliment them, comment them, ask questions, engage with them over time. So it's not just going to be, I put out a post that says buy my product and people click on it and buy my product. You're also going to want to comment on their post and say, hey, this looks great. If you need assistance, you can always reach out to me, or pose questions and say, hey, I'm about to launch a new product. Like, what would you pay for it? Or, hey, I'm about to make these 5 dresses, like I said earlier, right? Which of these is your favorite? Engage them, give them a reason to respond to you and create that relationship, because then people will become your own influencers. You might not even need a paid influencer. You could just have people who are so passionate about your business and how you work with them that they do the marketing for you, right? That's what you really want to have happen with social media. Like I said, sharing compelling visuals is going to be really key. So I hate to break it, but I would not post static posts. If it doesn't have a photo or a video, I don't want it. I don't want to see it. Not from any of you. You can also look at memes, infographics, behind the scenes. So like I said earlier, how do you accomplish what you're doing right now? Even stock photos or GIFs, just don't let it be a static post, because especially if you're a brand new business and you don't have any followers on your social media platform, it's not going to pull in front. It's not going to, the Facebook, the Instagram, the LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. The algorithm is not going to pull it. You need to have some kind of content within it, whether it's a photo or a video, to reach new people. So I think that is also one of those things that I want to bring home is, if you're someone who is saying, I'm not really good at taking photos, even stock photos are going to be better than nothing. And if you really need to, get some assistance on the correct way to take photos, even from your phone, or what a simple video looks like, that's what we're here to help you with. Like I said, this is a basics webinar, so I'm just going over everything from that higher level. And we have webinars that talk about how to do video marketing, how to do photos, how to get on these platforms. But this is what I want you to think about as you start this journey. You're going to want to focus on quality over quantity. This is most important for those of you who think, okay, I need to be on social media and I need to be on social media a lot, so I'm going to post one thing every day. Great. Honestly, the average is 1 post a day, so you're on track. But you want to make sure it's good content, right? It's content that people will engage with, they will identify with, because it doesn't matter if you post 5 times a week if nobody's liking it, if no one's commenting on it, if no one is interested in it. If it's just a not well thought out post with a stock image that doesn't really match and some typos, it doesn't matter. I encourage you, and I know many of you do not have the time. I know, I'm a solopreneur, I get it. If you do not have the time to post every day, then do not. Post once a week. Make it a really good post. Spend 10, 15 minutes on it. Make sure it shows your value. Be human, be honest. And just start with a couple channels. But you want to make sure it's good quality and that it's consistent. Don't do a post a week for 3 weeks and then fall off the planet for 6 months. That's going to look bad to anyone who already believed in you and started following you. So, be realistic with yourself what you can manage. If you can manage once a week or once every 2 weeks, and you think you could keep that up for the next couple of years, then that's what I would start with. It's much better to be manageable than to put out content that is not high quality. And someone asked about how to schedule things to go out to many different platforms. Take advantage of the tools, okay? Simplify the work. You have too much else going on to spend all your time making social media posts. So for example, if you want to schedule a post to go to multiple social media at the same time, use a platform like Buffer or Hootsuite. These are social media scheduling platforms. So you can make the post once and then have it go to all of your platforms at the same time. versus having to log into Facebook, make the post, then log into Instagram and make the post, then log into Twitter and make the post. It allows you to make it once and send it to all of them. This is a huge lift. I more than encourage you to do this if you're going to be using multiple platforms. The one thing I will say is they're only free to a certain extent. So if you went to hootsuite.com, they only let you manage 3 platforms for free. Anything more than that, you have to pay. If you're okay with the cost, then I encourage you to manage them all through Hootsuite or Buffer. But you might just want to start with 1 or 2 because that's what you can do with the free version. But certainly either of those is going to be easier than, putting a post out to 7 different platforms individually. That can be really difficult. Take a look at Google Analytics to see how your social media profiles are doing. That's a great way to, once again, look at the numbers to make sure what you're doing makes sense. If you need help making graphics, once again, like I said, you might say, I have no idea how to make photos, Sarah. You just told me to put photos everywhere. How do I do that? Use free platforms like Canva or Visco, Pictochart. Venngage is another good one. We have an entire webinar on our YouTube on how to use Canva. And if you're looking for content, if you're like, I don't know what to post, period, like I don't have words, you can go to buzzsumo.com or Pocket and just type in some keywords about your business or about what you're trying to accomplish, and they will come up with articles or things, so that even if you can't come up with social media content yourself, you can at least share articles and other items to keep yourself present on social media. So, like I said earlier, when you're on social media, I just want you to be aware of what's happening. So if people are responding to you and it's inappropriate, just know to listen and be aware of what's going on the platforms and respond when appropriate. I hope that this doesn't happen to any of you, but when you're online, you open yourself up to public commentary. So if you find someone providing you with negative content, decide what the best step is for you, whether you're deleting it or responding to them respectfully or whatever it may be, but you want to make sure that you are managing that so it doesn't just kind of stay floating on your profile, lest new or potential customers would see that. So I just want to keep that disclaimer in here. Social media is great, but it's still public content, and you want to just keep an eye out for if anyone's lurking with some negative things that they want to say or put on your platform. And like I said, schedule that content. Create the calendar, schedule with a tool, and don't let it take up your day. What I would even encourage is, take like a Sunday afternoon, 1 or 2 hours, and plan all of your posts for the next week or 2 weeks and schedule it all out at one time so that you don't have to go in every single day and come up with something. I think there's a lot of value when it comes to planning ahead in this space. And then, like I said, tracking and refining that performance. So what metrics matter to you? Make sure you're looking at the metrics at the back end of each of the social media platforms. They all give it to you for free. So use that to make sure you know how to do better in the future. So we have about 10 minutes left here. This last bit is all about social media FAQs. You will all get a copy of this PowerPoint. So I'm going to run through them relatively quickly because a lot of it is stuff that we've talked about already. But I encourage you to take a look at the PowerPoint after it's been emailed. Take a look at what the next steps are going to look like for you. And you can review each of these in much more detail if you would like to at that time. But like I said, which platforms should my brand be present on? People ask me this all the time. Many of you already asked me this. It's going to depend on your business and industry and your customer. But here are the recommendations, right? Pick a channel that will reach your target market. It's always good to start with the big 4. Like I said, Facebook, Instagram. I probably wouldn't put Twitter here anymore. I would put TikTok, sorry guys, and YouTube, because those have the most exposure. And if you're a small business, just pick 1 or 2. But you might want to make all the profiles at a similar time just to secure the username, lest someone else takes the username you want, because ideally all of your social media platforms will have the same username, so it's easy for people to find you. A lot of people ask, when should I publish my social media? I'm about to start my business. When should I make my accounts? Ideally, you should make your social media accounts 1 to 3 months before launching the business. That's because it takes a while for social media to get traction, and it would be great to have a following prior to actually starting, so that when you start and there are already 100 people following your Facebook page, you can say, hey guys, I started, take a look, or start buying my products, or whatever it may be. It's always good to build that community before you actually launch. That's an ideal scenario. I know some of you might have already started, but if you're someone who's ideating, this is just something to keep in mind. The reason we want you to make sure that you're checking on the usernames is because they go quickly. So I would encourage looking at something like namecheck.com, spelled like this, CHK, so namecheck.com, and see if your username that you want to use is available and where it's available. Like I said, just from a branding perspective, it's good to keep your name consistent across platforms, and it'll be good to check if that's available before you go through the process of making all your accounts separately. Probably the most popular question, what should I post? What should I say? Once again, it's always going to depend on who you are, what your business does, who you're trying to reach. But what I encourage you to do is create that persona, right? You want to reach the target market, which we've talked about throughout the session. You want to get into the character of the persona that you are trying to identify with the customer. What do they want? What do they need? Can you post content that they're interested in? That's really all it boils down to, whether it's questionnaires or articles or pictures. If you were going to buy your product, what would you like to see? You know, and you want to make sure your content is a good mix. So not just photos, not just videos, but try to keep it mixed up with shares and tweets and things about your business. It's good to just create that mix. One of the things that I talk to people about is the 1-2-1 rule. So for every one post asking people to buy your product, for every one post asking people to buy your product, you should have 2 posts that are just sharing information, such as, you know, this is how I make my product, or here's an article I read about holistic coaching that is relevant to my business, or, you know, something like that. And then you should have 1 post that is just human organic content, like, hey everyone, how's your week going? Or this is me going on a walk after a 9-hour workday. Anyone else feeling that small business busyness? You know, just random things like that. But the goal here with the 1-2-1 rule is really that you shouldn't be spending all of your time on social media promoting yourself. Certainly you need to do it a little bit, but you need to make sure that you're creating a persona, right? And the persona isn't just saying bye, 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 bye. That's like the salesman who won't stop knocking on your door, right? You need other content there that keeps people interested. How often should I be posting? Ideally, at least once a day. But we know that that's not always realistic. So like I said, if you can do once a week, that would be a great start. But the most important thing is being consistent, right? I said that earlier. Is it okay to post the same content on each platform? Short answer is no, because ideally people are following you on multiple platforms, right? So you don't want them to follow you on Facebook and then go, wait, this is the exact same thing they just put on Twitter, which is the exact same thing they just put on LinkedIn. But when you're a new business, it's okay to start that way. Like someone asked, you know, if you want to put the same content everywhere, that's fine to start, just to get it out there, to create some traction. Ideally, as you grow into a more established business, you might diversify like what pictures you put on Instagram versus Facebook. But to start out, I think it's perfectly fine for you to just get the ball rolling. And how do I increase my followers? You have to optimize your accounts. So make sure it's easy for people to find you. Is your profile picture nice? Is your banner nice? Is your username something people can easily identify with the business? So if your business name is Sarah's Bakery, please do not have a username like Cupcakes Galore or something that is completely not related. You need to make sure that if someone's Googling Sarah's Bakery, then your Instagram pops up or your LinkedIn pops up. I mean, it needs to make it as easy as possible for people to find you. And like I said, if you want engagement and you want people to follow you, you need high quality content, you need to be consistent, and you need to be authentic, all things that we have kind of talked about today. And this is just some more advice on handling negative comments, right? So making sure that you are responding to them professionally, don't just leave them. Next steps, this is really quick. I'm just going to run through upcoming trainings. So if any of you want to sign up for the Pinterest one tomorrow, or for how to create wow posts, this is an entire webinar that details how to make posts that wow people. I encourage you to sign up for these. You'll get a copy of this PowerPoint, and these are linked. And if you want some of this digital Center of Excellence advising, we put that link in the chat for you. So follow us back if you like, and take a look at our contact information. Garba, I'm going to let you just put the survey in the chat really quick, and then I'll take questions for a couple short minutes here right after that.
Oh yeah, Ms. Sarah, thank you for a wonderful presentation. Just a quick one to our attendees. I just posted the 30-second survey. I think you can continue.
Great, thanks. So we do have a survey after every single one of our webinars. Like Garba said, it's only going to take maybe 30 seconds for questions. Just let us know what you liked, maybe what you didn't like, what you'd like to see in the future. We put a lot of value into that. Someone asked, what is a static post? A static post is a post that doesn't have any content, essentially. So it's just words. So if I just made a Facebook post that said, I like pizza and posted it versus I like pizza with a picture of pizza or a video of me eating pizza. A static post is just words with no dynamic content or content that gets people to interact with it, essentially. This is recorded, by the way. Someone came in late, but yes, it is recorded. All right, let's see. So I did answer the question about several platforms at the same time. We did put the link to the consultation in the chat. Garba, if you wouldn't mind just putting that in one more time so people can see it.
Yes, please.
Someone asks, can you have an Instagram account without a Facebook account? Certainly, you definitely can. You won't be able to take advantage of Business Suite though. One of the biggest things that I like about Business Suite is on Instagram, you cannot schedule posts in advance. So you'll just be posting day to day. If you want to be able to post on Instagram in advance at all, ever, you will need to get Facebook because that's how you get Facebook Business Suite. But certainly you can just have Instagram as an account all by itself. Phelan, you can just use Temple. We're Temple University for the center. Thanks for asking that. All right, someone had a really big paragraph long question here. So let's see. They're asking about assistance with LinkedIn. All right, David, this email, sbdc@temple.edu, why don't you send that an email for follow-up? If you're still on the call, please just send them a message and we can get back to you about any programming coming up. And also he was interested in more on LinkedIn. We do have an entire LinkedIn basics session that is on our YouTube channel where I walk through how to make a personal and a business LinkedIn. Try to keep it really clean. Someone asked, do you support Facebook posts being copied and posted to Instagram? I couldn't say that, IG, Instagram, using the scheduling planner. I think if your content, if your followers on Facebook and Instagram are different enough, which most likely they will be just given the demographics, you could probably put the same content on both, keeping in mind that Instagram only lets you put photos and videos. So this might be a really good way to keep you accountable with only posting posts that have photos and videos. Whereas as Facebook, you could just have, you know, like I said before, the I like pizza post. On Instagram, it won't let you. You'd have to have I like pizza with either a video or a picture of pizza. So I think you certainly can do both. And Business Suite was meant for you to do that. Business Suite allows you to post to Facebook and Instagram at the same time and schedule both in advance. Best social network to drive organic traffic. I would say LinkedIn. And I know some of you might not like that, but LinkedIn is known for search engine optimization within the platform. So if you're trying to get someone off of the platform and onto your website, LinkedIn is really well known for that. Of course, it's better at professional services and B2B businesses, right? So if you're a bakery or a makeup artist or something like that, where you're just looking more at the general public, you might not have as much of a need to be on LinkedIn, in which case I would say either Facebook or Instagram, just because they're in the big four, have really good traction and can move them to the website. I think some of the other ones like YouTube and Pinterest are a little bit harder. And then someone said, you know, and I'm sure many of you feel this, they said, I often don't know what to post. I see what other people post and I'm always like, who cares? Good point. You know, my goal is to post 3 times a week, but I continue to be challenged by developing content and I want it to be evergreen. Yes, and in case people didn't know, evergreen content is content that you can use over and over again, right? I would encourage taking a look at Canva first and foremost to create some really nice high quality graphics. So I hope that the slide with information about graphics and content can help you. So if you can't find things to post, at bare minimum, take a look at articles in your industry. So like I said, for the holistic coaching individual, if you found an article online that was, you know, 3 great ways to keep yourself in mental good shape or whatever it might be. And you post that on your Facebook and say, hey, everyone, I found this article that I think is really revealing. If you want to follow up with me with next steps, you can always sign up for consulting with me here or whatever it might be. But there's a ton of ways you can create content like that. If you want like a full-blown conversation about planning, I would suggest meeting with one of our advisors, and we can walk you through step by step and maybe even help you create a list of evergreen content that you can use over and over again. All right, I know we're a little over time here.
Yeah.
34. I knew this was going to happen. Everybody always has so many questions in this session, but I think we got to all of them. Oh, here's one more. Do you have a webinar on Google Ads and Google Business? Yes, we do. We actually just did a webinar on Google Ads last month in December. I think the next time we're teaching that one is in April. But you know, if you send us an email, like I said, at sbdc@temple.edu, we can get you a link to that recording as well if you want it before April. And we also do Google My Business. That one comes up, I think, 2 or 3 times a year also. Yep. All right. So once again, thanks so much, everyone, for the 50 of you that stayed on a couple extra minutes. Thank you very much. Please do fill out that survey. If you didn't get the chance to right now, it'll also be sent in the follow-up email. We really appreciate you taking the time today. And if you want next steps on this social media journey, please do feel free to reach out. We know it can be a tough process, and that's why we start off with this very basic webinar to inch you into it. And then we have all of the more detailed webinars available on our YouTube as well. So once again, thank you, everyone. And we hope to see you on some future webinars in the new year.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. Do have a nice day.